Hello, this is Joe Pryor with the virtualrealestateteam.com in Oklahoma City. And this is another in my new series on updates to short sales. Hopefully my poodles won't bark again. I had to kind of interrupt it. This is Henri. I think as long as I hold him, he's always okay. And hope my standard poodle is here trying to help me out also. But this is an important update for you because this is going to go into some recent changes that the government has made in trying to control third-party fraud as well as fraud and misrepresentation that may come from the real estate industry. And I'm very glad about this. I think regulations that protect you, the distressed homeowner, are extremely important. It is a very stressful time for you. It is a time that sometimes decisions are not easy to make. And full disclosure is very, very important. And keeping you out of harm's way with third-party fraud is also important. Now, last week I was on a webinar with the Department of Treasury. And the individual that is responsible for handling real estate in terms of HAMP and HAFA programs that were originally born out of the TARP funds to try to keep people out of foreclosure and also to help them in short sales, give incentives to the lenders to do a fast timeline, and to you for participating and giving you a bonus. The Department of Treasury wanted us to know that we have a number that we can call to help accelerate files that are not being handled according to the HAFA guidelines. So if it's a week behind on some particular person being assigned a duty, we can call them and say, look, get a hold of this lender and let's accelerate this. And the Department of Treasury can do that for us. They also are involved in fraud. If anything is involved in fraud on real estate, now we know the Department of Justice is involved in this, the FBI. We know that Fannie and Freddie have issued regulations on third-party fraud, and that's important because if someone is creating fraud and you become, even unwittingly, a part of it, you're aiding and abetting fraud. We don't want that. We don't want anything to come back on you. We think that things are important to be done ethically and legally. And the Department of Treasury wants to assure us that if we see incidents of this or people come to us offering this, they want to know about it because they're trying to wipe it out, and I'm glad. The other thing is the Federal Trade Commission, and they have now waded in on this because they want to issue guidelines about marketing so that false marketing does not give you false hope. False promises cannot be made. Now, you may not think this is a good idea, but just think about this for a minute. If somebody gave you a teaser rate of 2% of an interest, look, I'll refinance you for 2%. And you went for that versus 3.5% somewhere else, thinking, oh, that's a better rate. And Truth in Lending wasn't there, and they didn't have to reveal that there's $10,000 worth of fees that they're charging you to get that. You'd be pretty upset because you want to know what the real rate, what is this really costing me? So regulations in this respect that give full disclosure should not be argued with. I should be transparent with you. Everyone should be transparent with you. Now, this just happened yesterday, so excuse me, I'm going to reach for my notes here. To make sure that I get everything right. But let me tell you about disclosure right now. First of all, I have to disclose to you that it is not ethical or illegal for me to ask for an upfront fee. So if someone comes to you, be it a realtor or be it a third-party company, and saying, look, I can handle everything for you for $500 or $1,000 up front, but I'm not going to start doing anything until you pay me this upfront fee, that is considered a violation of service. You cannot give someone money and they cannot take the money for services that have not been rendered. And the good news is there's teeth in this rule. There's a $16,000 per occurrence fine to begin with. And as a realtor, if I do this, they can also make sure that I'm not able to practice real estate ever again. So this is very important. You should never be charged upfront fees. Now, we've always considered that unethical. We have never charged anyone an upfront fee, never will, but now it's a legal issue also, and it is a finable issue, not just an ethical one where you report this to the Real Estate Commission. So I think this is very important for you in terms of keeping you safe. Now, the second thing is that no one should tell you, be it a group of attorneys or a third-party workout or a realtor, oh, don't worry, we'll take care of everything. You know, even though Oklahoma is a deficiency state, don't worry, we'll get rid of the deficiency. That is a false promise because I have no control over what the lender ultimately does. I cannot change the terms or guarantee that they will change the terms of that, even in HAFA, which is a voluntary program that says, the lender says, I'm not going to charge you any deficiency judgment, I'm not going after you. I don't even really want to guarantee that to you. When we close, when this is all done and the ink is dry, then yeah, I'll say you're good. There is no deficiency judgment, but no guarantee. That's very, very important. The other thing is to never tell you to quit communicating with a lender. And I've heard this all the time. Look, sign this document, and of course you do have to sign it to give me the right to talk to the lender, but I hear people saying, well, don't you talk to the lender at all. You know, you can't say anything to the lender from now on. That's wrong. No one should advise you to quit communicating with your lender. In fact, they get a little upset when you don't. If they're calling you and saying, you know, how's the process going, or, you know, there's an issue here, you need to respond to them. They hate not to hear from you. They think something's wrong. So it's better to communicate with them at all times. And in some cases, we may get you involved in the process because you're the real face of foreclosure. And that may be helpful in terms of our negotiations. And we'll advise you on that. The one thing we will not advise is that you should not communicate with the lender, and we're going to handle everything. Now, another thing that we have to do is to tell you that we are not involved in the government. We have nothing to do whatsoever with the government. We can't misrepresent that we have some in with the government or part of some kind of a task force or whatever, because we're not. They're very, very, very strict on this in terms of us not doing that. So those are the things that we need to disclose to you. And if I was that kind of a third-party company, even if I didn't charge you the upfront fee, I have to have full disclosure on everything that I'm going to do with no guarantees and everything that I'm charging you for. I've got to do full disclosure. So I just want you to know that in case these people come to you. Now, there's two other things that are very, very important that I do. And this is how I represent myself in advertising. Number one, my name cannot be associated with the government. I have to do a disclaimer on that. So if I do United States Government Short Sale Workout in Oklahoma.org, which I can buy that website name and put out a website, I have to do a disclaimer that this is not a part of the government. And I see these kind of websites all the time that are making you think that they're a part of the government. So that is something that cannot be done. Again, I have to disclose on any of my marketing materials that I send you by postcard, on my websites, whatever it happens to be, that I cannot guarantee that the lender is going to change any terms. Now, one other thing, and this is for realtors out there, and I want to make sure that you know this. Any written communication that I have with you, back and forth, either by U.S. Post Office, email, text, whatever it happens to be, I am obligated at this point to save all those communications. I have got to have all full documentation. This is important to me for keeping my real estate license and doing the right thing. It's also important for you if there's any kind of disputes whatsoever. You need me to do accurate record keeping. So that's also very, very important. And this is for anybody that's involved in the short sale process in terms of helping you out. So those are the changes that have been made. The Department of the Treasury is helping out in short sale fraud. The Federal Trade Commission is doing full disclosures for anybody who are trying to help you out in short sales. These are things that help protect you. We have started these as of this morning, even though there's a little time lag in terms of these taking to effect, but it's important that we do the right thing, that we act legally, that we act ethically, that we do everything that we can, not only to rescue you from foreclosure, but to keep you out of harm's way in every way that we can. This is Joe Pryor with the Virtual Real Estate Team in Oklahoma City, where we deliver traditional real estate values with the speed of technology.